everyone, this is Tequila Iru from the Puerto Rican Cultural Center, and welcome to a very special workshop that we are so proud and excited to bring to you. You know, when COVID started and we saw how it was affecting everyone in small ways and large ways, and especially the economic well-being of their families, we really wanted to do something. So we reached out to the city of Austin, and they introduced us to this wonderful professional business consultant named Corey Tabor. And he's here to provide a workshop for us today on how to start your own business. So if you are looking for something large, or you're looking to turn your weekend hobby into something economical for you, this is a workshop you will enjoy. So let me read you a little bit about Corey, his biography, and then I'm going to turn it over to him. So Corey Tabor, who has impressive letters after his name that I don't know what they mean, MML and CPLC. He is a dynamic speaker, life coach, author, and nonprofit leader. He currently serves as the founder and president of 3III Coaching, a firm that informs, instructs, and inspires through speaking, coaching, and publishing. He has created and led various programs for churches and nonprofits. He currently serves as a business counselor with Big Austin and development director for Family Restoration Coalition. He earned his bachelor's in communication studies from the University of Texas at Austin and a master of ministry leadership from Rockbridge Seminary. He lives in Maynard, Texas with his wife, April, and their 2 children, Anaya and Charis. And for more information, we'll be posting his website in the details of this webinar when we post it. We are recording it, and hopefully we will get it out on YouTube and Facebook. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Corey. Thank you so much for being here.
All right, well, thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here, Dr. Maynard, and grateful to meet each of you all. We are in the world of Zoom these days, where it gives us the opportunity to be able to connect with people around the country and around the world. But as an extrovert, I struggle because I miss being with people. I miss the physical connection and the energy of people. So if I come across as overly energetic, it's probably me trying to make up for the lack of physical connection with you guys. But I wanted to start today, this workshop is going to be called So You Want to Start a Business. And I wanted to start today by just getting an idea from you all, one, where you're at, and then kind of what you're hoping to get out of today's workshop. So if you could tell me your name, what part of the country or the city you're in, and then what you're hoping to get out of today's workshop, that'll be helpful for me as we continue through today's presentation. So I guess we can start with Nicole. And you can unmute yourself. Let me see.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you. My name is Nicole Wines. I live in central New Jersey, in a little tiny town called Highland Park. It's very close to Rutgers University, okay. Next town over in 2 directions. And I already started a small business called Data Chunk Media Designs, and it's a web design and digital communication, digital strategy consulting business. And I was just hoping to learn more about business strategies and how to grow that from a kind of a side hobby gig into a full-fledged business.
Okay, great. I can't remember your name. Who's here in Austin? The user 245.
This is Stephanie.
Stephanie. Okay, great.
Yes. And I have a lot of different kinds of ideas floating around. I've been working with students on the August Wilson Monologue Contest, and SMU in Dallas runs that monologue contest, and we want to get one started in the Central Texas area. So I've been interested in doing that. And then I have a lot of other interest, but I haven't ever done anything with them. So I'm trying to get a little bit more focused about what I want to do.
Okay. And you're here in Austin?
Yes,
Okay.
Austin, Texas. Yes.
All right. And Erica.
Hello, so my name is Erica Crespo. I live in Pflugerville, Texas, and go to Austin a lot. So Austin, Pflugerville, the same thing.
Sure.
But I currently work for the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. So I do a lot of environmental work, but I do have an ambition or a dream of opening maybe my own consulting firm or just something to where I can take excuse me, more ownership over my intellectual property, because it's hard to give so much to other people or other entities and not really be able to take ownership of what comes from me, what I generate, what I bring to the table. And so I'm just being a lot more aware and cognizant of my desire to take ownership of what I have to offer. And so I look forward to this session today to help me with that.
Okay, great. Great, good. Yes, go ahead.
And I'll throw one more example. That person is not here, but is another important example in this COVID time. I have someone near and dear to me who had a job and then because of COVID got furloughed and took a emergency part-time job, temporary job rather, until his company brought him back and discovered a long lost dream that he always had and got instantly successful at it, and now has decided that he's going to start his own business rather than go back and work for a big corporation. He's discovered the joy of living his own dream and being his own boss, and now he needs the, you know, ABCs of how to put a business together. So we'll throw that example on the table as well.
Gotcha. Good. Well, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that we can start with the presentation today. Make sure I got it here. All right. So, this seminar is going to be called "So You Want to Start a Business," and part of the mindset I was thinking of is a lot of people are going through the COVID experience and realizing that it's so easy, like Dr. Maynard was saying, to have a job and then one day maybe that job isn't available to you anymore, or you want to be able to increase your income and earn additional money in addition to what you're earning on your job. And so I currently serve as a business counsel with Bigger Austin. I came on with them in May, and we help do some business counseling with creatives and different individuals who are working on trying to develop their own businesses. Big Austin provides business investment and growth information. So everything from, you know, writing a business plan to how to put together that plan and make it execute. That's kind of what Big Austin does. I also have a background, a lot of my background is in the nonprofit sector. So I have started, you know, ministries, started my own church, did that for 9 years, which though it is a spiritual nonprofit, it definitely has a business component to it, having to be able to raise the resources and bring the team together and be able to develop all that is needed to make that happen. I also have my own coaching company, Triple I Coaching, where we inform, instruct, and inspire people to fulfill their purpose. And so we do that through writing, through speaking, and publishing. So I do music, I've written a book. I also do kind of speaking workshops and that type of thing. And so I've had to walk through some of this, and I wanted to give some basic foundational information that could help you begin to think about how to go about developing your business. For some of you, like Nicole, you started something and you want to grow it and develop it. For others, you're thinking about what it would look like to start your own business. And so I just want to give you a couple of foundational things. And then what I'm sharing today, some of the content will be specific to Texas, but you can find additional information in your state related to it for you, Nicole, who's in New Jersey. So I want to start by looking at the cash flow quadrant. And so there's a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. There's also the cash flow quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki, who is the author of these resources. And he talks about the fact that there are kind of 4 different components in the income world where you can be. You can either have what we call linear income or residual income. And so in the top left quadrant here, you'll see when you are working a job and you're an employee, you have 100% of you in one job, and that equals your income. So you have a job, time equals money. You have no leverage beyond the amount of time that you have and the amount of money people are willing to pay you for that time. And then on the left side, you can also go down and you see that you have the kind of self-employed component where you own a job. So again, your time equals a little bit more money, but again, you don't have leverage. You're trading time for money and you're starting every day at zero. So at least with a job where you're being paid by someone else, you know that there's either an hourly rate or there's a salary involved. Whereas with the self-employment piece, you can earn significant amounts of money, but you're starting every day at zero, and you're trading time for money. And then on the top right, you can move to being a business owner, where you actually either have a business system that you own, system that you purchase that will allow you to be able to, you as one person, multiply your efforts through other people to get additional income. And so you own a system and people work for you to help leverage that system. So you see that happen in everything from network marketing businesses to people that franchise and purchase, say a Chick-fil-A or a Subway or something like that. And so they're not spending all their time working the business, but the business is actually working for them as they've leveraged the individuals that they have. And then on the bottom level here, bottom right, you have where you're an investor, where your money is working for you. And this is creating a passive income. So your income is not dependent upon your presence. You don't physically have to be there. So that could be something like a rental property. It could be, you know, you've invested in a business that is being successful and working well, and then you're being able to earn income even though you don't have to physically be there. So the way our education system in America is set up, it kind of teaches us to go to school, get an education so you can get a job. And I think they established this whole kind of mindset to be able to provide employees for our industrial society. And that worked for that season. But for many people, the challenge with it is that when you are working a job, you're taxed at a much higher level. Your time doesn't always produce the kind of income that you want to produce. And you're not getting the maximum out of what you're able to provide. So, you know, as Erica was talking about wanting to leverage kind of your skill set and your information and what you know, what you're able to do in order to be able to grow your business or to grow your income, you want to start moving towards the right side of the quadrant, where you can get a system that works that allows you to be able to earn money through other people that helps you to be able to build that. And so we'll talk a little bit about what that looks like, but that gives kind of a foundational look of where you're going. So if you move from the top left, where you are working a job and getting income, to the bottom left, where you're self-employed, that's an improvement. But eventually, ideally, you want to start moving towards the right side of the quadrant, to where you're owning that system. So whatever, like Nicole, you were talking about your business, you would take that business concept and then figure out ways to be able to use technology, to use others, to be able to scale it so that it can produce even more for you as compared to you being the one. Because a lot of times as a self-employed person, you put in a lot more hours in order to be able to make the business work, and then it may not produce the amount of money that you need on the front end. It could take some time to get there, okay? So our overview for today, we're gonna be looking at these three things. I wanna talk about the mission of your business and helping you think about what is it that you want to do and how you wanna grow and develop that business. Then we're gonna get into the method of the business, which is gonna deal with kind of business structures, business plans, and also thinking through some other components of the business. And then we'll get into the mindset, which I think is very important. There are a lot of people that have a desire to start a business, but there's gonna be a mindset that needs to be there in order for that business to be successful, okay? So if you have questions as I'm talking, feel free to unmute and ask the question, or you can put it in the chat. I've got my screen on, so I'm seeing some image. I can see your image, but you can put it in the chat. You can raise your hand on the items that are available there in the chat feature as well. Okay, so let's get into the mission component. So the mission, first of all, organizations and businesses exist to solve problems and to meet needs. And so if you can find a problem that people are having that is a significant problem, and then you can find a way to solve that problem, or you find a need that people have and you can find a way to meet that need, then you're creating an ability to provide a service that people are willing to pay for. The greater the demand, the higher the impact, or the greater the demand, the higher revenue that you can typically get from it. So somebody give me an example of a business that was started. What was the problem and how does that business solve that problem? Or a need that people have and how that business meets that need. You trying to unmute? Oh yeah, go ahead, Nicole.
Just a simple example, contracting companies, people who need home repair services, they don't know how to do it themselves, and so they have a need to hire somebody to fill that need.
Exactly. So you have a Home Depot that can provide the supplies and they have some training, but you can actually hire a contractor who has the skill set to be able to do that. I was a big Cosby Show fan when the Cosby Show was out in the 80s and early 90s. And I remember Bill Cosby, who was Theodore Huxtable in the Cosby Show, often something would break down in their house, like a washing machine or a dishwasher, and he would, and he's a doctor, and delivered babies. His wife was a lawyer, and he would often try to fix the item because as a man, he felt like that was something he was supposed to be able to do. And really, he didn't have the skill set to do it. And so he needed to leverage his money and use that money to pay a contractor in order to be able to do that. So yeah, that's a great example. Somebody else, another example of a business that is meeting a need or solving a problem.
Well, COVID-19, people have to wear masks. So I have a friend who started her own mask making business. So basically she designs masks and sells them.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a great example. So we had kind of an unexpected need. I mean, masks have been needed like in hospitals and that type of thing consistently, but not at the mass level that they're needed now. And so you have a number of clothing companies. I know companies that make furniture that have decided, okay, we're going to move our equipment to making masks. Also during COVID, a big need has been hand sanitizer. And so a lot of the companies that make tequila, that make whiskey, are now moving their whole workshops over to making hand sanitizer because the demand is there and the need is there. So the question I want you to ask yourself is, when you think about your business, what problem is it meant to solve? What need is it meant to meet? And then we're going to talk about who do you want to help? We're going to talk about what you want to do to help them, and then why you want to do it. So when you think about your business, who do you want to help? What do you want to do to help them, and why you want to do it? So for me, when I started my coaching company, I knew that I was coming in contact with, I was on staff at a church as a pastor at the time, staff pastor, and I was finding a lot of people who were struggling to accomplish the goals that they had in life. And so I have been pretty effective in being able to meet the goals that I had. And so I went and got certified. One of the letters behind my name, Dr. Maynard, is a CPLC, which is a Certified Professional Life Coach. I went and took a course and got certified as a life coach to help people begin to think through the mindset of how they could effectively go about building their goals and accomplishing their goals. And part of what a life coach does, they help you to structure your goals and what you want to accomplish, help you find out what you want and how you want to get there, but then they also hold you accountable to accomplishing that. And so for me, I wanted to help people in that 18 to 35-year-old range who are often struggling with, what am I supposed to do? So not only was I trying to focus on, so it was 18 to 35-year-olds primarily, people who had a skill set but didn't know how to leverage that skill set. And then I wanted to give them clarity, and particularly on their purpose, why they were here on the planet and what they were supposed to do. And my why was, once I discovered my skill sets were, my natural abilities, my acquired skills, my personality, my experiences, once I discovered how all of that could come together, I realized that I had a reason to live. I had a reason to invest in people's lives, and I had a way to make a difference in the world. And so my goal was to help people figure out how can they pursue their purpose in life, and what I call like pursuing your purpose passionately ultimately produces a paycheck. Well, I would say, you know, all of us want to make a difference and make a dollar at the same time. I don't think anybody wants to just make money. We want to be able to leave an impact and make a difference at the same time. So when you think about your business, you want to ask, who do I want to reach? And that's a part of the market of who you're trying to help. It could be other businesses, it could be individuals, it could be couples, it could be men, it could be women. You know, you think about a company like Amazon. They're trying to help the person who doesn't want to have to go buy an item in a physical store. What are they providing? Convenience. They're providing a large scale of items that are available. They provide it in a timely manner, door-to-door operations, and their why is to put a smile on your face. You know, so the Amazon box and the Amazon logo is that smile, and they will hire drivers to do that. They will have people work in warehouses to make that happen. They have different distributors that are helping them to get that service to you. And so that's what you want to start thinking about. Who am I trying to serve? And you want to try to limit that information or get that down to the tightest number you can think of, because without the focus, it's going to be hard to be effective in reaching that group. And then what do you want to do to provide for them? What service are you trying to provide for them? That's something you want to really work on. And then why do I want to do it? The why is the motivation that's going to keep you going when things get challenging. So there's a great book out called Think and Grow Rich that deals with a lot of the mindset needed to be able to effectively kind of grow your business and grow your mindset to be effective in doing so. And so I'll talk a little bit about that and reference that. So for those who are on the call now, I just want to kind of ask you quickly, if you're able to think about it, who do you want to serve? What do you want to provide for them? And why do you want to do it? Anybody want to share? All right, Nicole.
So I guess I'll go off of basically who I'm serving now, which is small businesses, artists, nonprofits, who need assistance in implementing different digital technologies and strategies, from website to social media design to storytelling, content creation, to donation tracking, anything that has to do with data in the internet sphere. And what I want to do to help them is to be able to take the different pieces of data that they have and put it together to create a more coherent story for themselves and for their clients and customers. The why, maybe it's not the best why, but it's you know, in this time that we're in, it's for selfish reasons, to try to be creative and utilizing the skills that I have to be able to provide a service to an affordable service to people in my community and beyond, to be able to continue working when we have this kind of upset in the way that our lives are lived right now. That's been the catalyst. I mean, but why would I want to help them is because there are people who they don't even know how to utilize the technologies that are there. They don't even know what technologies might be there, and it can help them to save time, to save hassle, headache. It can help them to grow their businesses and their nonprofits have a bigger impact.
Great. Yeah. So what you're seeing is that you know how to do something that they don't know how to do, and you're able to leverage that information in order to be able to provide them something that they don't actually have. So you're kind of like helping them to shorten the process of getting to where they want to get, and you're providing a service that's helping them to do that. And people are willing to pay for that. Anybody else want to share their who, their what, and their why?
Let's see, I'll throw out my example of a business that I really haven't ever started. I actually am a certified life coach from the International Coach Federation, and I've never started that business because I really haven't had time focusing on my, you know, what I really do. And but what called me to that was I really wanted to help people that needed to make a big transformation in their life. Not just I want a new job or lose 10 pounds, but people who really had a big transformation to make. And I feel that, you know, everybody has a calling in their life, and sometimes people get stuck in a box for whatever reason. And it's really hard to make that transition, to jump to something that will totally, you know, change your life. And so that's sort of like, I don't remember all the components, but that was what I wanted to do, and the why, and the who, and, you know, why it was meaningful to me. And I never pursued it, only because of lack of time.
Got you. Yeah, so that would be like, if I was working with you, I would talk about like, how could we get one client that you can start working with, you know, and begin to use your systems and processes to be able to help them, and then begin to leverage that to be able to get more clients. But, you know, we're not in a coaching session now. So, all right, the next section we're going to look at is the method. So there's a number of ways to go about developing and starting businesses. So we're going to look at 3 components of the method: the business, which is important for you to consider. We're going to look at business filing, particularly here in Texas, how you file for your business. And then we're going to look at a business plan example. So let me move over to the business structure piece, and I'm going to let you guys take a look at the business structure page on the Secretary of State website. So in Texas, to register a business, you do so through the Secretary of State office, and their website is sos.state.tx.us. And I'm on the section here. So if you go to the main website, you can go up under business startup information. And when you click on business startup information, it's going to provide you with selecting a business structure, guides and resources, employer and tax information, and business information for veterans. Okay, so I'm going to go up under selecting business structure, and we're going to look at the business structures that are available in order to be able to establish your business. So you have, so it talks about here, like, the decision of a business structure is important. It's a decision that a person should make, and in consultation with an attorney and an accountant, because there's going to be legal kind of ramifications of the business structure, as well as financial ramifications. And you want to take into consideration issues regarding taxes, liability, management continuity, transferability of ownership interests, as well as the formality of the operation. So there's a sole proprietorship, which is basically the simplest way to open a business. It is a single individual who engages in a business activity without the necessity of a formal organization, and it can be done under an assumed name that's other than the person's actual surname. And so they would get an assumed name certificate, which is commonly referred to as a DBA, or a doing business as certificate. And that's going to be filed with the Office of the County Clerk. So in Travis County, we file that at the Travis County Tax Office, where the business premise is maintained. And if no business premise is already maintained, then the assumed name certificate should be filed in all the counties where the business is conducted under the assumed business name. So that's one option. A lot of people take advantage of the sole proprietorship because it's a very affordable way. I mean, it's like about $25 to fill out that form. You can get all of your businesses done under your personal Social Security number typically, or you can develop your own individual tax ID number. But that creates some liabilities for an individual, because anything that they personally have can be at risk with a sole proprietorship. You have a general partnership, which is created when 2 or more persons associate to carry on a business for a profit. It generally operates in accordance with a partnership agreement, but there's no requirement that the agreement be in writing, no state filing requirement. But if the business of the partnership is conducted under an assumed name, one that does not include the surname, then that assumed name certificate, known as a DBA, should be filed with the Office of the County Clerk. Business is going to be maintained. So the general partnership and the sole proprietorship are similar. Sole proprietorship is one person. General partnership is 2 or more individuals. Okay. Then you have a corporation. A Texas corporation is created by filing a certificate of formation with the Texas Secretary of State, and I'll show you guys where that is. And it's going to provide a form that meets the minimum state law requirements. There's an online filing for the certificate of formation that you can do through SOS Direct, which is the way most people are doing it now because going downtown isn't really available at this point. And then a corporation is like a legal person with characteristics of limited liability, centralization of management. It has perpetual duration and an ease of transferability of owner interests. The owners of a corporation are called shareholders, so you may be familiar with that term. And the person who manages the business and the affairs of the corporations are called directors. However, state corporate law does not provide for shareholders to enter into shareholder agreements to eliminate the directors and provide the shareholder management. So choosing the best management structure for your corporation is a decision that you want to do with an attorney. And the Secretary of State office can assist you with that. Some people will do what we call an S Corp or S Corporation, which is a federal status, not a state status. And it's one of the ways that a lot of people are able to get some tax benefits. So you can do more research on that. One that people are commonly using today is a limited liability corporation, which is basically you file a certificate of formation as an LLC. It's not a partnership or a corporation, but it's kind of a distinct type of entity that has the powers of both a corporation and a partnership. And depending on how it's structured, it can be like a general partnership with limited liability. And the basics of it is that if someone were to sue you, they could get what the organization has, the LLC, but they cannot get what you personally have. So your home wouldn't be at risk, your car, your personal assets, those type of things. So you can look more into that. And then you have a limited partnership and then a limited liability partnership, which are other options as well. So you want to think through what is going to be the best business structure for me as a business to operate. And this is the site that I would recommend, and I would also recommend speaking with an attorney or with an accountant to determine which one may be best for you. Now, it's possible to start out as a sole proprietorship, and then as you're trying to earn additional income, be able to go on and do the LLC. With the LLC, there are like taxes that have to be paid, reports that have to be submitted to the comptroller's office, and so you want to make sure you understand all of that before you move into it, so that you don't put yourself in a position where you're not your status isn't active on your taxes and that type of thing. So we talked about the business structure. Any questions about that? About the different business structure options? Okay. Here on this page, you can also look up the different business forms that are available. And so if you were to form a for-profit, you can go down to business and nonprofit forms, and then you would go to formation of business entities under the Texas Business Organization Code. Click on that, and then you would click on certificate of formation for a for-profit corporation. If you did that, if you were doing a limited liability company, you would go under this one. And then when you click on it, it's going to provide you with, I'll click on this one here so we can see. So it gives you all the information you need to go ahead and fill out the form. Who's going to be the registered agent, which is the primary person, who are going to be the directors, who's going to have the authorized shares. All of that information is available here. And I don't want to get into it too deeply, but the cost for filing an LLC here in the state of Texas is $300. And you can do that through a personal check, a money order, or you can use a debit card, credit card to be able to do that as well. So when you look at it, it literally is a fillable form that you can fill in the name of the corporation. If you want to go in and search to make sure that name hasn't been used by someone else, you can do that on the website as well. If it's an organization that you're filing the LLC under, like say a business is filing the LLC, then you would put that here. If it's an individual, you would put their information here. Then you would put the directors here, how the shares are going to be divided, who's authorized. Here you would have the purpose statement of the organization or the mission statement, and then the organizer, when it's going to be effective, and then you simply sign and turn that in. And once you send that back to them with them $300, they'll provide that back to you in order to be able to get registered. And then once you're registered, then you can, once you get that document, you can contact the IRS and you can go ahead and get a tax ID number or an employee identification number. You can simply call them up or go to the, call them up, and then they will provide you with that information. You get a document that shows that you are registered with the IRS, and you can use that to open a bank account under your business name, so you can start taking in income and being able to file that information. Okay. All right. Let's see. The next thing, so we looked at the business structure and the business filing. Now we're going to take a look at the business plan. And let me see. I've got this drop down screen. Let's see. Do we have a question in the chat? Okay. Okay, we got that. Okay. So a business plan is basically a tool that you will use to help you effectively understand how your business is going to be structured. And so the goal of it is to make sure that you have the tools you need and have thought through the business, what you want to do with the business. So I'm going to give you an example of the business plan template that we use here at Big Austin. Can you guys see that? Okay, great. So a lot of times people have business plans to help them get their thoughts out and understand what kind of business they want to do, how they want to function with the business. But it also is very important if a person is trying to get a business funding from a bank, they want to see a plan for how you're planning to do that. If you're planning to get investors that are going to assist you in being able to have the funds to start the business. So typically a person would have their logo, their business name, their phone number, and email. And this is a real simple template designed to help people get started. We have a table of contents here. We go through an executive summary, a company description, the products and services that you're going to offer, a market analysis, implementation plan, marketing and sales, if there's any e-commerce, who's the management team going to be, what milestones are you looking to accomplish, and then financial projections as well. So with the executive summary, it's a paragraph that you write that looks at the problem you're going to solve or the need you're going to fill, and how do you make people, quote unquote, feel good about themselves? What are you doing to help people, you know? And then the solution or the value proposition, which is, what is it that you're providing that people are going to be willing to pay for? In the executive summary, you're also looking at your target population. You're going to look at what is your competitive advantage? What do you offer at a competitive level compared to maybe other businesses in the same market? What are 3 to 4 keys to your success? Any financial requirements you may have, whether it be startup capital or expansion capital. So that's what we talk about, whether you are getting a business grant, a business loan, or getting resources from your family, savings, that kind of thing. And then your expected break-even point. So when are you going to be able to start making money or breaking even? Oftentimes it will take a number of years for a business to be able to break even after they get the initial startup started, depending on the type of investment they have. What is the financial outlook? And then what deal is being offered if you're looking for investors? So if somebody's willing to invest in your business, what is going to be the return on investment for them? So like when we started our church, that we pastored for 9 years. It was called Full Life Community Church, where we were living life to the fullest. And the problem is we saw a number of churches in the community that were ethnocentric, and we felt called to be a multi-ethnic church. So we wanted to be on mission. We were missional, maturing, and multi-ethnic. So we wanted to be on mission, or we believed to be a biblical mission for the church. We wanted to be maturing, helping people take their next step of faith, because we felt like in Austin, there were a lot of people of their spiritual journeys. And then we wanted to be multi-ethnic, a place that anybody of any ethnicity could come and be a part of this community of faith. And so we felt like that was a unique value proposition in Austin. And our target population at the time was really 20 to 35, 20 to 40 that we were looking at, primarily singles and young families. Our competitive advantage was that we were a smaller community where a lot of people were used to larger churches. We were offering something smaller on the front end, individual attention. Our keys to success was that we had been a part of a large church, so we knew how to take some of those systems that had worked in those churches and simplify them. We were family friendly, so our goal was to make sure that people could continue to grow their families and develop their families as they were, instead of being engaged at the church, 3, 4, 5 times a week. And then the financial requirements were, how do we get the money to get started? What do we need to be able to, have a space to meet in and those type of things? And then what did it look like for us to have the funds long term to do what we needed to do? That was looking at the people that were investors for us were the members who were giving to be able to make the church run. So that's an example. Any questions about the executive summary and what that would look like for your business? All right, I'm going to move down to the company description. So here's where you're going to write in your mission statement. And the mission statement needs to be what we are trying to accomplish. A vision statement often is kind of what we see happening down the road. The mission statement is straight up what are we trying to accomplish? What do we want to provide? And then your legal structure, like we talked about, whether you are a sole proprietorship, a LLC, the ownership, who is the primary owner? Is there split owners? Again, your competitive advantage and your keys to success, 2 to 3 goals for your business, and 2 to 3 objectives to reach each goal. So can somebody give me an example of a goal that they might have in their business, and we want to kind of workshop what the objectives might be to reach that goal? So you may have heard about SMART goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So can anybody give an example of a goal that you might have in your business concept that we can workshop and talk about in order to kind of help think through the goals and the objectives? What is the goal? What is the big goal of any business?
Get clients and make money.
Make money, right? So one goal might be to make money. I'm working with a client right now. He has a date as to when he wants to make his first dollar. One of my business coaches tells me, he says, Corey, what are you here to do? And I'm like, man, I'm here to help people. I'm here to make a difference. He said, no, that's secondary. We're in the business of cashing checks. We're in the business of cashing checks. So what do we need to do to make money? That's business. Like nonprofits have some other components, but what do we need to do to make money? So you may have a business that say that, I want to make $500 a month in this network marketing business, and I want to be able to bring on 2 additional individuals to help me with it. And a third goal might be that you want to get to the point where you can do this part-time while you're doing your full-time business. So objectives around that might be, what do I need to do to be able to start making that money? I got to get some additional clients, as you said, Nicole. I may need to be able to market myself to individuals who might be interested. I need to figure out how to leverage relationships and network. Those are the types of things that you would list. And then the startup funding requirements would be things like, what is it? How much money do I need to get started? And the good thing about a lot of opportunities that are out there today is that specifically with technology, it's something online, a website is pretty affordable to get started with. There's a lot of systems that are available to be able to take income through PayPal or Square, Cash App now, all these different options that allow you to earn revenue. So you can start with pretty low overhead initially with a number of the businesses that you guys are thinking about from the service industry. Like Erica, you're talking about leveraging intellectual property. A lot of that is creating the content, being able to either copyright it or put it in a system. And then there's resources out there that can help you offer online courses like a Kajabi that would build a pipeline for you to help you be able to build that. So it may cost $100 a month to have that service. It may cost you, $300 to set up a website if you get somebody else to design it, or those type of things. You will want to look at what are the basic funding requirements to get started. Then you get into your products and services, and you want to be able to describe all of your products and services and the value that they provide to your customers. And this is part of your value proposition. What am I doing that's solving the problem and meeting the need that this person has? And you want to get specific about that so that you can be able to communicate that to your customers so they can know what you do. Market analysis is really important because it helps you to see where you fit in the market. So you're going to do some research and look at what are other companies or other businesses in my market that are doing what I do. So you're going to provide information on relevant data related to the industry, the demonstrated need for your product or service. Make sure to include sources for the data that you use, and you want to indicate historical trends and an outlook for your industry. So you think about a company like Canon, which makes cameras and printers. When they started, the photography business and photography in general was based on film. People used a lot of paper to make copies, you know what I'm saying, and that type of thing. Now we're in a very digital age. They had no idea when they started that this device right here would become the camera that most people are using, that they could scan an item and email it to someone and they could DocuSign it and that kind of thing. And so the market analysis 40, 50 years ago would be totally different now if they were trying to develop their product, okay? When you look at the competition, you're looking at what we call a SWOT analysis. The SWOT analysis is looking at your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. So what is it that you are strong at in your program and what you're trying to provide? What are some of the weaknesses? What are the opportunities in the market, and what are the threats? So the strengths and the weaknesses are internal. The opportunities and the threats are external. So like an opportunity and a threat right now is COVID-19. So COVID provides an opportunity for people to maybe take their business that might have been a physical business and take it online. The threat could be that people may not trust it as much because they can't get a face-to-face with an individual. You know, you want to look at the competitor information table. So looking at other competitors that are doing what you do. And then if you don't have any direct competitors, you want to compare with the closest alternative to what you're offering. I'm working with a client right now that's doing adventure photography, which is basically being able to photograph individuals who are doing risky things like climbing mountains, camping. And there's a lot of stuff you can't do right now in COVID-19 where it's socially distancing. So he's having to think creatively, how does he build his business around that? And then you want to start looking at your customer. A lot of people will create like an ideal client and give that person a name. So it might be like, you know, Successful Susie, or, you know, Business Bill, or whatever. They give that person a name and they start thinking about kind of who is my ideal customer. So that's looking at the target market and their needs, the main target population, secondary population. You can include certain customer profiles with demographic and psychographic information, and you describe why they would choose you over your competitors. So many of the cities have demographic information on their city where you can start to look at kind of within 5-mile radius, 10-mile radius, what are the demographics in your area. You can also do research as you're doing like any type of marketing through like Facebook. They can let you specify who you're trying to reach with your targeted ads and that type of thing. So you want to start to think about the ideal customer that you're wanting to reach. And then you have your implementation plan. So here you're dealing with activities that you and your team need to perform to start or operate the business. The resources you're going to need to start and operate the business. So that can include physical resources, intellectual components like copyrights, patents, data, human resources, and then financial resources, your key partners and suppliers, and the most important cost incurred by operating the business. So you want to begin to think about what steps is it going to take for me to get off the ground, and put that in a plan, kind of a step-by-step process that you list here. And then you get into marketing and sales. Here's where we're talking about the strategy, your branding. What is your brand going to be? Your market positioning, how are you going to position yourself in the market? How are you going to penetrate the market so that you can start to get a share of the market out there? Advertising channels with a budget for each. So that could be everything from search engine optimization, which I'm sure you know about, Nicole, dealing with if you're using Facebook marketing, Instagram, YouTube. Print marketing isn't as popular today because a lot of people don't do as much print. So a lot of it is going to be, you know, how are you going to do word of mouth marketing if you want to do that type of thing? And then how are you going to publicize yourself? So beginning to think through your marketing strategies. What are you going to need that's physical? What are you going to need that's technical to be able to make that happen? And then you get into your sales strategy. What is your revenue model? So explain how and why the business will generate revenue, all of the different revenue streams that could come in. You want to detail the customer discovery the acquisition of the customer, the retention of the customer. So you want to include things like how you're going to create awareness, how you're going to evaluate your products and services, what is the purchase going to look like, how do you deliver the products and services, and then what is it going to look like on the back end. I have a number of friends who are doing businesses now during COVID that are providing services, and one of the biggest things that sets them apart is how they deliver the product and service and what they do on the back end, how they thank their customer, packaging of it looks like. You can provide a t-shirt and simply mail it, in a package, or you can have it, in your brand, where it's packaged nicely, where it feels like it's something special that comes to that person. What are the sales and distribution channels going to look like? Like when I wrote my book, the first time I wrote it, it was before on-demand printing was available. So I literally worked with a printing company that printed the book, but I had to become the distributor as a self-published author, and I mail each copy out, which I'm not as good at. That's just not my thing. I don't like doing that. Well, now I've republished the book, and I use KDP, Kindle Direct Digital Publishing. And so now a person can go on Amazon, they can purchase the book, and Amazon will send the book out for me. So that became a distribution channel. I have a Kindle version now, so people can actually download the Kindle instead of having to purchase the book physically. So you'll look at those type of things. What type of relationships you need to build with your customers? How do you price your product so that you make a profit? How do you do bundles, promotions, discounts, and build all of that in? What are your payment options? A lot of people in the service industry, Erica, who are doing things like coaching or doing things like consulting, they may have a number of different payment options. They may say, okay, well, if you can pay me all up front, it's going to be $19.97. If we're going to do it over 3 payments, that's going to be, $700 a payment, and there may be an additional kind of markup for that. And then you're going to include like a table of monthly sales forecast, so you can start to see over a year how much money can I make, so that you can start to plan for how much you're going to make. And then we got information here on e-commerce, how to develop your website. You would write in information about that. If you have an e-commerce platform, there's a number of them out there. Equid is one. Some people are using, particularly their systems. Web marketing, again, how do you, using Google Ads, search engine optimization, which is what SEO is. We have a class that we teach on this at Big Austin. Email marketing, blogging, social media, all of those type of things to create awareness. The management team here, you're going to put in the information about the people that are going to be on the management team, details about your team members, what makes them significant, what positions they're serving in, and then who's going to provide your accounting services, your legal services, your support services, whether that's human resources, billing, that kind of thing, and then any mentors or advisors that you have. And then finally, you get into your milestones, how are you going to accomplish what you're going to accomplish by when, and the status of it in process. And then finally, we got into the financials, your monthly profit and loss statement, our monthly cash flow statement, a balance sheet, yearly profit and loss for 4 years, and then a break-even ratio analysis. And all templates are available on online. You can go into Google and just type in like a monthly profit loss statement, and it'll give you an example that you can begin to use. I normally use a Mac computer, and they have a break-even analysis that you can do for events for different programs that you're trying to offer. So this is a tool that we use with Big Austin to help people begin to think about how they want to build their business structure. For some, this is a lot to try to think about. So what I encourage them to do is to break it down and work on each component of the business plan, maybe give themselves a week or 2 weeks to work on each component of it and break it down into smaller pieces to help them be able to do it, and also be able to talk to people who've done business before, looking at different videos and YouTube videos and that type of thing to get the resources needed to complete that. Any questions about the business plan? I was trying to kind of do it in some detail without going into it in too much detail. All right, the next thing we're going to look at then is the mindset. So let me get to this piece here. So I want to tell a story as I think about mindset here to get started. I attended the University of Texas at Austin, and there are a lot, they used to tell us when we came into orientation, look to your left, look to your right, in a year, one of you won't be here. And there were various reasons that people may not be there. They may have had a health issue that was going to cause them to have to get out of school, or they may have had, you know, some financial challenges that were happening, being able to come up with the money to be able to pay for school. But a lot of the reason that people weren't successful or were successful was due to the mindset that they had. This little thing that we have right here, these 6 inches between your ears, can be the difference between being good and great when it comes to business. I had a friend who came to UT, and he probably had about an 800, 850 SAT score, which at the time the score level was 1600. But he had scored really high academically in his class. And so when he got to UT, based on the test, you wouldn't think that he was going to be a very successful student. But he had a work ethic that was second to none. I mean, this guy would class consistently, take notes, do the homework assignments. Oftentimes on a Friday or Saturday night when we were hanging out, having a good time, he was, you know, in the library studying and putting forth the effort. You had students that were much smarter, but weren't willing to go to class, weren't willing to do the work. And they just relied on their intelligence, or they relied on their gifting. And so the mindset to be a successful business owner is very important. One, you have to be proactive. You have to think from a, what do I need to do today to get to where I want to be? Instead of thinking, how do I respond when something happens to me? You're being proactive to be able to, basically, you are attacking things in the world instead of in the world to attack you. So being proactive is very important. Taking initiative to get started, to get going is very important. Being able to be proactive in scheduling your day, proactive in scheduling your assignments, what you want to accomplish each day, proactive in working on developing a positive mindset, which is, you have to be positive. You have to be able to believe what you have to offer is important, that it can be done, that you are able to do it, you're capable of doing it. And so there's a lot of work that I do with people, and a lot of work I do myself on creating a positive mindset. I start with a gratitude journal. Every morning I write down 5 things that I'm grateful for. And that gets your brain processes that information in a way that creates momentum that helps you to be able to be effective. Negative thought patterns literally can become toxic to the mind, but also toxic to the body, and make it challenging for you to be able to be successful. So you want to be positive. And then the last thing in this section is just persistent, being able to say, I'm going to keep at it. I'm going to keep pushing through the obstacles. I'm going to keep pushing through the challenges. Every business owner that I know of has quote unquote failed. And I've eliminated that term from my vocabulary. I don't believe in failure. I believe in growth opportunities. So if I tried something and it didn't work, what that let me know is that I've learned how to not do it well. I've learned something about how to not do it well. And so you can begin to take advantage of the things that quote unquote were failures, a product that didn't work well, a presentation that didn't work well, an employee that didn't work out well. And you can look at that and say, okay, what do I need to learn from that? And that's going to be education that's going to help you move forward. So if you're proactive, if you're positive and persistent, and you've got all of those other pieces in place, it's going to help you to be able to maximize the plans. There are people who have business plans that look great, but they're not being proactive with it. It's just sitting on a shelf. And then there are people that I tell people all the time, it's something that one of my former supervisors told me. He said, if it's worth doing it perfectly. So the key is to get started, to just start, to push forward. You know, Erica's put together an idea about a workshop you want to do and offer it, you know, for free and get people to come, get feedback. You know, Stephanie, as you were thinking about the different types of services you're wanting to offer, think about how can we make this available in this context and start getting feedback. You know, Nicole, you got something going already, but like, how can we be proactive in moving it to the next step and what we want to accomplish? Okay, so those are some of the things in mindset. It's very important to be able to get your mind in the right place. That's why the Think and Grow Rich book is very important. Another book is called The Power of Positive Thinking. What you think has a lot to do with where you end up in life long term, because the perspective you have will either give you energy or take away your energy. The other thing that I will say is important with mindset is being able to get the right people around you that can support you, that can encourage you, that can motivate you. And for me, the why is important. Like, a why beyond yourself Like for me, you know, I started building my business because I wanted to raise additional money to help support the church that we were at the time. I wanted to leave a legacy for my kids. I wanted to be able to take my family on vacation. I wanted to be able to control my time, like, and be able to have control of my schedule. So knowing your why is going to give you the motivation that you need to be able to move forward and accomplish what you want to accomplish with your business. All right, I wanted to take some time for questions. And I've got my email here, just Corey@bigaustin.org. If you want to get in touch with me. We have an office number as well, but we're all working remotely right now. So I normally just have people email me and then I get back with them via phone in order to be able to communicate with them if they have questions or need additional support, you know. And if you wanted to, you know, partner with Big Austin and getting some business consulting or business coaching, those are some services that we're able to offer to businesses here in the city of Austin and Travis County as well. All right, so what questions do you all have? Any questions?
Hi, Corey. So first and foremost, thank you so much for all the information. It was a lot, and I really enjoyed the elements of the business plan. And so for me, trying to flesh out exactly what I want to offer, or like you said, the who, the what, and the why, I think I'm still in that stage personally. And so how would you recommend that I make this jump as I'm still trying to figure it out? Like, I want to be proactive during this time. And I know that I won't have all the answers in order to be comfortable to start fully, but how do you take that leap of faith is I guess my question.
Yeah, Steve Harvey used that term a lot. He wrote a book called Jump. And he said, you know, at some point you just gonna have to jump, right? But I think you do need to have a basic idea of what you want to do. So it may not be the full plan, but like when you were talking about leveraging intellectual property, you know, I would start with just putting together an outline for a workshop, you know, something that you want to teach people. And then think about offering it as a webinar through Zoom. You know, you can market it on Facebook Live, or you can put it on Facebook Live. But it is nice to have some idea of what you want to offer. So you may want to look at some other businesses that are out there that are doing something similar and get some ideas from them. You may want to talk to people in your circle who can assist you in thinking through, okay, just people that you can bounce ideas off of and try to find out kind of what is it that you actually want to do. What would you say your content kind of core competency is? What do you know well that you would want to leverage?
Well, of course, I know the stuff on my job, but then I get into that ethics issue of, you know, I work for a state agency. I can't really train and be compensated on my personal time. Like, I would have to run that through the legal department, which I'm okay with. But there are certain things that I've experienced in my personal life, or certain personal passions, if you will, that I wouldn't mind talking about or training on, or, you know, there's something outside of professional. So I kind of have that duality going on where, yeah, there's something that I do for work that I'm good at, but there are also a lot of other ideas that I should pursue and would love to incorporate.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, so that's part of some of the time you're going to need to spend kind of with yourself, thinking through what is it that I really want to offer and why do I want to offer it? Like you could offer a course on like healthy habits to reaching your goals, you know, and thinking through what have you done to be successful, incorporating your story in that. This is what I've found. There's a lot, like I've got 2 degrees, working on a 3rd one. There's a lot of like content out there, and that's important, but authenticity and your experiences can also be a very significant value to people, particularly when you're doing a service that is people oriented as compared to like a technical piece. Other questions? Go ahead, Erica.
Oh no, I was just gonna say thank you so much. I love the authenticity part, or just that that personable aspect. I think that's very encouraging. So I appreciate that feedback.
Yeah, like nobody can experience. So, You know, you can take what you have experienced and be able to pull principles from that to be able to help people. And I tell people, you know, most people start off doing what they do on a volunteer basis. You know, they're offering something for free just to start and get going. And one of the benefits of that is you can get testimonials that you can use in your marketing. You can get feedback. Like when I started coaching, I normally would do a free session up front, and it allows me to show the value of what I can offer. And then I offer discounts. Like if you recruit a person that becomes a client, then I can give you a percentage discount on what I charge you. But when I started speaking, man, I was doing it for free before people started paying me. I think the key is to develop the skill and keep getting good at the skill so that you can begin to leverage that for revenue. Other questions or comments?
Well, thank you, Corey. I really love your presentation because, you know, I'm one of those people that, you know, thinking about my other business that I never started, all I wanted to do was help people. But then the thought of, you know, how do you turn it into a business? It's so overwhelming to think about all the steps all at once that, you know, it's very intimidating. And what you presented here, you know, shows you sort of like a step by step by step. You don't have to do it all in 1 week, you know, you just do one step at a time and build from there. And that's been very helpful.
Yeah, I mean, you eat an elephant, they say one bite at a time. You know, if you wrote 1 page a day in a year, you have a 365-page book. I don't recommend a 365-page book. Research shows that people aren't reading those, but often, but it's just about doing something every day towards it. And that's not easy to do. It's called a habit. You start practicing that on a consistent basis, it's going to help you to get to where you want to go. And once you start getting those wins under your belt, it's going to help you to be successful and build that momentum. And you can see the impact of what you're doing. So that's why I just recommend getting started. You know, start, we say pull the trigger, you know what I'm saying? Just pull the trigger, get started, do something, and see the value, because that's going to create, it's just like working out or eating right, any of those things. Getting started is normally the biggest part that you want to do. Another quick book I'll recommend, I've got a couple of resources here that I like to use. This is a little book by John Maxwell called Make Today Count. The subtitle is The Secret to Your Success is Determined by Your Daily Agenda. And he's got a bigger book that deals with the whole concept, but the small one, it deals with these priorities. It deals with attitude, priorities, health, family, thinking, commitment, finances, faith, relationships, generosity, values, and growth. Great little resource that helps you kind of get your mind right and think through what you want to accomplish on a daily basis. I recommend, you know, thinking through kind of how do I want to structure my day in order to get it done. Because here's the thing, when you become an independent business owner, nobody's telling you when to wake up, nobody's telling you when to get started, nobody's telling you when to get done. And it's not a 40-hour-a-week job. Typically, it's like 60, 70 hours a week to get started until you can start leveraging people to help you get it done, which is a whole nother workshop and resource. All right, well, thank you guys so much for listening. I hope that it was helpful. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me. Dr. Maynard, anything else that we
No, I think this is wonderful. And something that you touched on before we let you go, if we could talk a little bit more about it. The one thing with working in a job like for a major corporation and owning your own business is a whole different level of energy required. You know, it's sort of like the business becomes your life.
Yes.
And so it's really important that when you start a business, it is something that comes from deep in your soul, that it's, you know, that your heart beats for, that you know, breathe for every moment, because it really is a tremendous amount of work to start and maintain a business of your own, you know, until you have an army to do it for you. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, when I talked about the why, you know, my coaches have been talking to me. Sometimes what happens is when we start thinking about a business, we get into all of the logic of thinking through all of the steps it's going to take, and we can check all of that stuff off. But our brain, and that's the left side of our brain, the logical part of our brain. But what provides the engine, like the motor to do it, is the right side of our brain. It's the creative side. It is what's connected to our heart. And like literally the heart and the brain work together to create the energy needed to pursue the business. And you got to believe in it when nobody else believes in it. And you have to believe that it's worth everything it's going to take to get it done. And you have to be able to see the value in it and the benefit of it beyond just the bottom line, because then it'll just become another job. And that's not enough to keep you going. You know, you really need to know it's something that you believe you're supposed to be doing. It's something that you believe is important to be done. And that can allow you to, you know, literally run through walls when you have that right kind of motivation and understand and believe what you're offering is important and why it's important. Because it takes a lot, and you got to have the right support system around you. You know, I've tried to do some businesses without my wife being involved, and because I can just get the revenue on the front end and then she'll be cool with it. But I needed her support. I needed her investment. I needed her belief. I needed her on board with me. So you want to have the right team around you that can support you, motivate you, encourage you. I feel like everybody has a physical doctor. I think everybody should have a mental doctor. Like I go to counseling on a consistent basis to make sure my mental health is in a good place. You know, I encourage, you know, having a coach that can support you, a business coach or a mentor that can support you and help motivate you. Having that team around you is really important to being able to push through and get done what you want to get done.
Thank you for that. And I think also that faith that you touched on has a big part in it, because I truly believe when you are doing what you were meant to do in this life, it's scary to move forward. But when you start moving forward, if you're on the path you're supposed to be on, the doors will open, the path will open, you know, and there's something to be said for that. It's not something that you can plan on. It just happens. It's sort of like the magic starts to happen for you. And so when you're doing the right stuff in your life.
Yeah. I mean, when you feel that, like you wake up in the morning knowing like you're here for a purpose, you're here for a reason, you're going to make a difference. And that gets you, that can get you going. And once you start to see the impact of it, it can be really significant. And so visualization is a big part of that as well. Like I've been speaking to crowds my whole life. I think I started speaking officially like when I was 12, but I've been in front of groups, sounds like 4 or 5. And I visualize what it looks like to see this group of people, how they're going to respond, how I'm going to connect to them, you know, and it helps you to see it. And then when you see it, you can put it into practice and make it happen. So.
All right. Well, let's all go like this and thank Corey for being here.
Thank you all.
We're so grateful for this kind of business 101, and it did record. So I see the little recording button. So we will be wrapping it up and making it available on YouTube and Facebook for people who didn't get to see it today because they were at work. And we know that this business workshop will be inspiring people for a good long time. So we are very grateful and we thank you. We thank the City of Austin who provided this, and Big Austin, the sponsors of this workshop. We're very grateful. that this can go out to the community during this COVID time where people are just really needing to rethink a lot of things. So thank you.
Thank you. You all have a great day, and feel free to reach out to me if I can be any support to you. I would love to help out.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.